Good afternoon, dear students. We are here today to talk about forces in the subject of mechanics of solids. Forces, as you know, are a part of our day-to-day routine, our life. All the structures, all engineering depends upon forces. So we need to know the basic concepts and how to play around with forces. Let us try and see what we can do in order to understand how forces affect us in our day-to-day life. Let us start with the types of forces which you have already studied earlier. This is what you had studied earlier, non-coplanar and coplanar forces. Now as you can see over here, here is a system. There are a few members meeting at a certain point in this particular system. This system is three-dimensional. You have x, y and z directions, and there are certain members coming into this system itself. So if you watch very carefully, there is a force being transmitted from this member, a force being transmitted from this member, one from here, and there is a member which is already going from here. Lot of forces in a very complex system. Does that mean that forces are very complex? We'll see as we go on further that we can reduce this entire three-dimensional system into a very simple system of forces which can be analyzed and which can be resolved. But for the time being, let us just try to understand what kinds of forces they are. If we are able to categorize them, we'll be able to analyze them better. Now, if you look at these forces on this panel, we have a force system which is in this member and in this member. These two members are in the xy plane. We have another force system in this member and in this member. These two are in the xz plane. So we can say that these forces are not lying all in the same plane. Now let us look at the other system, coplanar forces. Now here if you look very carefully, there are many forces which are, for example, there is a force system here, there is a force system here, there is a force system here. All of these are lying in the same plane. Similarly, if you look at this point, there is a force system here, there is a force system here. So wherever you are interested in, you will be able to find out the forces. All of these are lying in the same plane. So these are called the coplanar forces as against the non-coplanar forces. But one thing common to both non-coplanar and coplanar forces is that they are all concurrent. In this case, all of these forces are meeting at this point. In this case, there are various systems meeting at some point or the other. This is one system of concurrent forces. This is another system of concurrent forces. This is a third system of concurrent forces. Let us look at some other forces. Now look at this example. Here you have various kinds of forces. One is this, which signifies the motion of the car. There is the weight of the car which will be acting downwards. There will be certain frictional forces acting along the wheels. There will be the weights of the wheels, the wind force and many other forces. From the previous example as we saw, we can see that all these forces are lying in different planes and therefore they are non-coplanar forces. Against this is a coplanar force system. You are able to see that this is a beam resting on two supports. So you have certain kinds of loadings which are acting on this beam. So let's say you have 1, 2, 3. The weight of the beam will be there, and then there will be certain reactions from this end and a reaction from this end. What is common between these non-coplanar and coplanar forces? They are all non-concurrent. Non-concurrent in the sense they do not meet at a single point. in the non-coplanar system as well as in the coplanar system, you are able to see that all of these are not meeting at a single point as against the concurrent forces which we saw in the previous slide. Having given this brief introduction to non-coplanar and coplanar forces as well as concurrent and non-concurrent forces, let us go ahead and see what we have for analyzing these forces. So this is the whole scenario of the force systems. For the time being, we will be talking only about coplanar force systems. How will you analyze a coplanar force system? So there are various methods to find out the coplanar unknown forces. One being analytical, basically they can be all divided into the analytical methods, and the second type would be the graphical methods. Analytical methods once again have various other schemes. One is the parallelogram law of forces. When there are only two forces, this law can be easily used in order to find out the resultant force. You have already studied the parallelogram in your previous high school years also. Similarly, there is a triangle law or the trigonometric law where you are using the cosine and the sine rules if there are about two forces and you have to find out the resultant. Whenever there are more than two forces, you will have to resort to the method of resolution of forces. The graphical system is represented by the force triangle or the force polygon. If there are only two forces, then you will be using the force triangle. If there are more than two forces, you will be using the polygon. But once again, as of now, we will not be referring to the graphical methods. We will be talking about coplanar force systems using the analytical methods. Let us try to understand what we mean by composition of forces. There are certain terminologies which you will try to understand. One is composition of forces, the other is resolution of forces. What do we mean by composition of forces? Look at this figure. This is a bracket. The bracket is being held in position by a force F1, a force F2 and a force F3. All these forces, let us say they are strings or they are cables which are holding this bracket in this position. Now, if I want to replace all these forces by just one single string or one single cable such that it holds this bracket exactly in the same position as the combined effect of all these three forces F1, F2 and F3, what do? I will have to replace these forces by a single force. This process is called composition of forces. So, we can define composition of forces in the sense that it is an addition of two or more forces to get a single force. Now this single force has the same effect as that of the original force systems. How to find out that one single force? That single force is called the resultant force R. You have already studied in your previous sessions the parallelogram law. So let's talk only about two forces. You have a force F1 and a force F2. Then the diagonal, if you draw the parallelogram using F1 and F2, the diagonal of that parallelogram is going to be the resultant force. That is the force which is going to act and have the same effect as the combined effect of F1 and F2. So simply put, if this body is under the influence of only R, then R will be nothing else but F1 plus F2. We have already studied the parallelogram method of finding out the resultant of forces. So we will not talk about the parallelogram here. We will talk about the triangle law. We are going to the next step, that is the triangle law. It is also called the trigonometry method of finding out the resultant. Remember, the resultant is the force which is going to substitute one or two or many forces in such a way that the effect of the combined forces remains the same. So let us first of all see what the triangle law says. The triangle law says that if there is a force system, you have a force F1 and a force F2. If I draw a triangle with the force F1, that is over here, I have started plotting F1. Then at the tip of F1, if I start drawing the force F2 as it is over here, then the resultant of these two forces is given by the third side of the triangle but drawn in the opposite direction. This is the triangle law. Let us see how we can use the triangle law in order to find out R. We can do that by using trigonometry. You are very much familiar with the trigonometric laws of the cosine and the sine. The cosine rule says that R is equal to under root f1 squared plus f2 squared minus twice f1 f2 cos beta. Cos beta is the angle formed between f1 and f2 when you are drawing toe to tip each of these forces. So here in this case, beta is definitely going to be 180 minus theta, the original angle theta between these two forces. What is the sine rule? So the cosine rule gives you the magnitude of R. The sine rule says that F2 upon sine alpha. Look at this force. You have one side and the sine of the opposite angle. F2 upon sine alpha is equal to R upon sine beta. So once again, sine to the sine of opposite angle is equal to F1 upon sine of the third angle. The third angle is going to be 180 minus alpha minus beta. In this way, you will be able to get the angle of the resultant also. So you have the magnitude and the angle that the resultant is going to form with any of one of the forces or with the x or the y axis. We will see this in more detail through an example. Here we have a system of forces. There is an unknown force F2. This system is under the influence of force of 50 kilonewtons and a force F2 which is unknown. But the problem statement says that we already know the resultant. The resultant is going to be 115 kilonewtons. Your task is to find out how much will F2 be. What should be F2, the magnitude as well as the direction, so that it will have the same effect as R and 50 combined together. Let us use the triangle law. We start by drawing the 50 kilonewton force. This is how we have drawn the 50 kilonewton force. At the tip of 50 kilonewton force, you will be drawing F2. You already know the angle of F2, so start drawing the force F2. You already know the magnitude of R and its direction, so we have drawn the resultant R. Our force triangle is now ready. Let us start applying the trigonometric laws of sine and cosine. Before that, let us see how to find out beta, the angle between F1 and F2 within the triangle. Beta is going to be 180 minus 70, that is 110. 70 is the total angle between the two forces. So if we use the sine rule directly, we have the force 115 kilonewtons upon sine of opposite angle, that is 110 degrees, is equal to the unknown force F2 divided by the sine of the opposite angle, sine of 40. Very clearly, F2 is available to you as 78.66. Another example, there is a hook which is under the influence of forces F1 and F2. We also know over here the unknown R. Unlike the previous problem where there was only one unknown, here your task is to find out both the forces F1 as well as F2 if you are knowing that R is equal to 100 kilonewtons. Let us start drawing the force triangle once again. We have started by drawing F1. You already know the angle of F1. You already know the angle of R and the magnitude of R. To the tip of F1, start drawing F2. Both of them will meet at some point and your force triangle is ready. You need to find out angle beta naturally, which is equal to 180 minus 45 minus 20, that is 115 degrees. Apply the sine rule. You have the resultant R, which is equal to 100. 100 divided by sine of opposite angle we know is 115 degrees, is equal to F1 divided by sine of opposite angle, sine of 20. Once again, this is equal to F2 divided by sine of opposite angle, sine of 45. Use any of these two terminology and you will be able to get F1 as well as F2. You can see that this method is very fast and very simple, and it gives solutions in a much more better way than the parallelogram, where you have to draw all the forces, find out the diagonal, use the equations of trigonometry to find out the magnitude and the direction of r. As against the concept of composition of forces, what we did while doing the composition of forces was to find out a force which can replace 2 or 3 forces or more number of forces. Opposite to that is the concept of resolution of forces. For example, you have a system, this is a nail, the nail is being hit by something which is having a force F. Or maybe this is a knob which is being held in place by a string under a force F. What if I want to replace this force F by 2 forces? Once again, try to understand the concept. This is resolution of forces against the concept of composition. In composition, what we were doing we were trying to replace 2 forces by a single force. Here, we are trying to replace 1 force by 2 other forces. This is called the resolution of forces. So, in this case, I want to replace F by a force system P and Q such that the effect on this particular nail remains unchanged. It is the same as the effect that F was having on this nail. This process is called the resolution of forces. While trying to resolve forces, we need to find out the components of a force. A force can be resolved into components which may be at right angles or which may not be at right angles. Look at this point. Both P and Q are not at right angles to each other. F can be resolved into a force system which may not be at right angles, or it can be resolved into a force system which may be at right angles. So, you have components which may be orthogonal or rectangular when they are at right angles, or you may have a force system which may be non-orthogonal. That means the forces, the components are not at right angles to each other.